Hello. The following thoughts that I'm going to share are specifically for the ears of New York State Governor Kathy Hochul and all those whose jobs are in jeopardy because of their resistance to the COVID vaccine mandates. Not too long ago, Governor, you bulldozed over the rights and the religious freedoms, not to mention the convictions of many around New York State who have genuine concerns about the vaccine and the mandate associated with it. And I am here today to speak on behalf of those who don't have the platform that I have, who don't have the microphone that I have. And I want you to know, Governor, that what you are doing is immoral, it is wrong, and it is unbecoming of a governor of the great state of New York. My name is Brett Popp, and I serve as the pastor of the Christian Church of Charleston Four Corners in upstate New York. And I am blessed to shepherd a loving and supportive church family. I am also privileged to go home each night knowing that I will have a job to go to the next day in order to provide for my family. There is absolutely no pressure on me to receive the COVID vaccine, to mask up, or conform to anything else that violates my personal convictions. And while this is a great place for me to be in life, many throughout New York State, including some in my own church family, have no such assurances of a job for them in the near future. In fact, some in the medical field have already lost their jobs, while others expect to lose theirs in the days ahead. And these job losses, along with the lack of quality health care in this state going forward as a result, can be squarely laid at your feet, Governor Hochul. As the governor, you have the authority to head off the predictable consequences of a nursing shortage in New York State. And I urge you to use the power and the influence and the position that you have to do so. Just a couple of weeks ago, you announced a scholarship program to help the depleted nursing profession in our state make a comeback. And I listened to you bemoan the fact that we have a shortage of healthcare workers and that we lack nurses in hospitals around the state. Why is that, Governor? Why are we facing a shortage in healthcare workers who are qualified and caring and devoted? The answer is your policies, your decisions, your leadership. Not too long ago, you said, and I quote directly from the official New York State website, that just a year ago, we were celebrating our healthcare workers as the heroes they are. And the pandemic has shown us that we cannot afford a labor shortage in the healthcare industry. Perhaps there has never been more truer words spoken in our state, at least in the context of healthcare. And yet, Governor, your policies, decisions, and leadership are creating an unnecessary labor shortage by simply eliminating the jobs of those who sacrificed greatly at work just a year ago, while also fearing at the same time they might be bringing death home with them to their families at the conclusion of their shifts. And now, right in the middle of the holiday season, just weeks before Christmas, you are putting those in the healthcare industry in the unenviable position of having to choose between receiving paychecks or violating their personal convictions. Are you really okay doing this to those that you were bragging about less than a year ago? Is this the way you repay New York's heroes of healthcare? You have thrown them, Governor. You have thrown them under the bus and are driving right over them simply because you don't agree with them. And simply because they don't agree with you regarding the vaccine and do not wish to violate their personal convictions by injecting something into their bodies that they are not comfortable with. Whatever happened, Governor Hochul, to my body, my choice? One of the challenges I face as a pastor, and it's legitimate, is pushing back against the long-standing complaint by many that churches are full of hypocrites. And while admittedly there are hypocrites in our churches, it has become abundantly clear to me that there are also hypocrites today in politics, especially in the governor's mansion here in New York State. As a professing Catholic, Governor Hochul, you made some extraordinary comments recently about abortion rights here in New York. Quoting from Crisis Magazine, a Catholic periodical, you said, "For women in Texas, they need to know. We will help you find a way to New York. And we are right now looking intensely to find what resources we can bring to the table to help you have safe transport here and let you know that there are providers who will assist you in this time of your need." You also shared the following on Facebook, Governor. "The truth is that abortion is a safe, common medical procedure. I am proud that New York is leading the fight to ensure that every woman and birthing person has access to abortion care. For all 48 years of my life, because abortion was sanctioned or made legal by the Supreme Court several months before I was born in 1973, I have heard the rallying cry, 'My body, my choice.' My body, my choice. My body, my choice." From progressives like you, Governor, for almost a half century, that rallying cry has been beat into the minds of the American people when it comes to a woman's right to choose. My body, my choice. However, when healthcare workers and others who wish to now have the same freedom with their body to do what they would like with their bodies, that is not receive the vaccine, the popular my body, my choice conviction of the pro-choice crowd is somehow, amazingly, no longer recognized as an acceptable rallying cry for them. That's blatant hypocrisy, Governor, and you are the very worst offender. Scripture teaches, to whom much is given, much is required. And so as a pastor whose job is secure and who has been given much freedom to go to work every day without having to wear a mask, without having to take the jab, much is now required of me. I have a microphone. And while predominantly that microphone is to be used on Sunday mornings to first and foremost encourage and nourish and minister to my church family, there is no reason why I cannot also speak truth to those beyond the four walls of my church. And so I have a microphone, and I plan to use it on Sunday mornings and any other day of the week to communicate and to share in an attempt to speak up for and on behalf of those who have had their freedom of choice stripped from them and their jobs, their livelihood, their way of providing for their family taken away from them. And Governor Hochul, I intend to respectfully but forcefully push back in any way I can against your tyrannical encroachments upon the rights and freedoms of New Yorkers who just want to go to work each day without being intimidated by you into violating their personal convictions. I want you to know, Governor, that I stand proudly with those who are soon to be casualties of political hypocrisy and narrow-minded ideology and your governmental overreach. And while I have no idea what I will say in the days ahead, or necessarily when I will say anything, know this for sure, that the healthcare workers of New York have an advocate in this country preacher, a country preacher who is thankful for all the sacrificial services they willingly offered last year and that they continue to offer up to this very day. Our healthcare heroes deserve better, Governor. And so as I come to the conclusion of my thoughts on this matter, I'd like to take you back in American history for a moment to a time when the black-robed regiment, that is, America's preachers, who often wore black robes when standing behind their pulpits in the 1700s, impacted the course of our nation in the lead up to the American Revolution. And while I want to make it absolutely clear because the times call for it, I am not calling for a revolution, Governor. But what I am calling for is a return to an unobtrusive approach to governing. An unobtrusive approach to governing that will lead to smaller government here in New York State, driven by common sense and restraint, rather than an all-out war on the personal liberties of your constituents. The Black Robe Regiment was made up of preachers in the 1700s from both small and large churches who courageously rose to their feet and became the voice of liberty that lit the flame of independence in the hearts of our nation's founding fathers. The founding fathers testified to the influence of those preachers and the influence they had in their decision to start a new nation. And so in the spirit of the Black Robe Regiment, I am committed to speaking up, and I am committed to being a voice for those who do not have a microphone like I do. And if that makes me a thorn in your side, Governor, just as the preachers of the 1700s were a thorn in the side of Great Britain, then so be it. In your first address to us New Yorkers, Governor, you shared that in your travels to all 62 counties every year, you've walked our streets, you've met us at diners, you've supported our small businesses, you've listened to farmers, you've engaged in local officials in conversation with them, and you work to revitalize long-neglected downtowns. You also said you've been in the trenches with local health leaders and officials, battling the pandemic day after day after day. Sadly, however, it now seems like you are in a new battle, Governor, but not one that is being waged on behalf of New York healthcare workers, but against many New Yorkers who just want to be left alone so they can go to work and fulfill their passion to help others in hospitals and in their patients' homes. I urge you, Governor Hochul, to change course. Use your authority and the power of your influence to do good rather than force your political views on those that you have promised to serve. Never forget, you are a public servant, not a tyrannical dictator. Don't let the heroes of healthcare suffer because of a misguided, immoral ideology. Support them, rally around them, and honor them as you did just last year. I am praying for you, Governor, to have the wisdom and strength that is needed to do what is morally and ethically right for the people of New York State.